The dream of every dividend investor is to be making so much passive income that it makes no sense to go to your full-time job. So today, we're going to take a look at Charles Schwab's SCHD and see exactly how much you need to have invested into the ETF to retire purely off of dividends. We'll have to make a few assumptions here, and the three assumptions we'll make is that you want to retire making $80,000 a year in passive income. Two, you have a maximum of 40 years until you retire. And three, you don't want to withdraw any of your original capital, so you're going to be living purely off of dividends. Now, the reason we chose Charles Schwab's SCHD is because they have some very incredible statistics when it comes to their overall dividend payments. Over the last 5 years, their dividend growth has been 11.3% every single year on average. SCHD's overall price appreciation has also been right around 11%, and the dividend yield is currently sitting at 3.41%. Now, I'm sure you saw by the thumbnail that you would need to invest $55.56 every single day that the stock market is open in order to retire off of SCHD in just 25 years. And that makes you make about $87,000 in passive income. And we'll take a look at that right now. And that comes out to about $14,000 a year. But we're over here on Market Beat, and we're starting with $0. We have that 3.41% for SCHD's current dividend yield. We have the expected dividend increase per year of 11.3%, which has been their average. And then the average price appreciation at about 11% as well. And then $14,000, which is that $55.56. If we go ahead and calculate those dividends, you would see that it would take you about 13 years to be making over $1,000 a month in passive income. And then for you to cross over that $80,000 mark, it would take you, 25 years. And it is a lot of money to be able to have in free cash flow to be able to throw into the stock market. But if you're able to do so, it would take you 25 years to surpass your 9 to 5. And if you're able to make that sacrifice to get you there as fast as possible, I mean, why wouldn't you? It's a fantastic way to, jumpstart your retirement. So now that we have that covered, let's go ahead and take a look at some other interesting information for people who maybe aren't able to, put in the $55 or $14,000 a year into their overall investments. Well, if you were able to do $100 a month, let's take a look and see what that would look like over an extended period of time. It would take you 42 years to reach that $80,000 mark, but everything stays the same, just this will go down to $1,200 a year. Go ahead and recalculate that. You'll see that the overall growth is going to be much slower. Instead of only taking a handful of years to hit that first, $10,000 or $12,000 to get that $1,000 per month, it's going to take you almost 30 years to get there. But at the same time, you're starting with no money and you're really working on building up your overall portfolio. So if you're able to do anything, it definitely be making those contributions because eventually they do add up. If you saw here in 50 years, you'd still end up with over $7 million because those last few years are really where things start to take off. So once you cross over that $13,000 mark, you're seeing huge strides. And would only be a handful of years later until you cross over that 42-year mark where you are getting over $80,000 a year and to where you'd be able to retire. Now, if you're starting in your 20s and this is something that you're able to do, you'd be able to retire in your early 60s purely off of passive income, which is definitely something that a lot of people would aspire to do. Now, if you were to contribute 150% more every single year, that'd bring you to $3,000 a year, and it would take 6 years less. So that's where you can really see that it is the compounding which really makes this grow faster. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. If we were to bump this up to $3,000 and nothing else changes, go ahead and recalculate it. You'll see for you to make $1,000 a month, it'll take 22 years rather than 29. And then for you to hit that $80,000 mark, it's going to be right around years 35 and 36. Now, again, this is still a lot of money to be able to put away, and it's something you should definitely strive for because being able to create some level of financial security as you do get older and get into retirement and have less motivation to work, it's definitely something that you should really be trying to build up for yourself. And then, so let's take a look at if you were able to invest $500 a month, which is $6,000 a year, which is pretty close to maxing out a Roth IRA. If you don't already have one, definitely consider opening one. they're a tax advantaged account to where you're putting post tax money in, and as long as you wait until retirement age of 59 and a half, you'll be able to withdraw that money tax free. And you'll see it takes about 31 years to hit that milestone of making $80,000 a year. But if we go ahead and calculate it, you see the growth is even faster than before. Instead of taking 22 years, you're taking right around 17 and a half years to get to $12,000 of passive income. And then you'd be able to retire at that 31-year mark. And again, if you're starting, say, at age 20 or right after high school, or even after college, if you graduate at 22, I mean, at 53 years old, you'll be making almost $90,000 without doing anything. And then that's not even taking into account the fact that the longer that you're in the workforce, your income potential continues to increase. So you'll probably be able to contribute, more towards the end of your career than you are at the very beginning of your career. So this $500 average per month might be a little low or it might be a little high. So definitely keep that in mind for some variation. So let's go ahead and just skip over the 1000 and we'll take a look at 1500 just because this is a huge jump. This is 3 times more than that $500 mark that we were looking at before. So that's $18,000 a year, which is a ton of money for pretty much everybody, especially if you're trying to work on building a dividend portfolio. But you can just see how fast this really happens. It took you 23 years to hit that $84,000 mark. And after only 11 years, you would be making over $1,000 a month. And just that snowball just gets so big so fast that it's definitely worth trying to put as much money into your investments as you possibly can, just so you can have that overall growth. And one thing I really want to point out is that you're most likely not going to have all of your money in SCHD. If you're a dividend investor, you probably have monthly payers like Realty Income, which has a higher dividend yield, or Altria Group, which has a much higher dividend yield, sitting at over 8% right now. So you're probably making more than 3%, but your overall dividend growth rate is probably going to be substantially lower, probably closer to like the 5 to 7% range. So definitely go ahead and play around with some of those numbers. I'll go ahead and leave the description to this website down in the description, or I'll leave the link to it in the description, so you can go ahead and check it out. But definitely come play around with this. And if you want to see my portfolio, I do have SCHD in here. It's right here. If we go ahead, we can take a look at it and see that all of those numbers are indeed correct. I'm here on Snowball Analytics. If you're interested in trying it out, you can try a 14-day free trial. There is a link in my channel description. But the dividend yield is 3.41% with that 5-year dividend growth of 11.3% and a 9-year, very impressive dividend growth streak. So if you're interested in following how my portfolio does over an extended period of time, go ahead and smash the subscribe button. I do portfolio updates and also give you updates on all of the dividend payments that I receive, as well as talk about overall stock market information and strategies to continue building your wealth. So with that, appreciate you guys watching. Make sure to smash the subscribe button and go ahead and check out the channel and check out this video right here where I go over all of the dividend payments I received this past September.